Hey, it's Sandra. Welcome to another episode of Asexualise, my asexual life. This is a place to be for education about asexuality, all things asexual. I share my asexual life journey in order to help you and yours. So subscribe and hit the bell icon right now. So today we are on Tuesday in the UK, which actually means I've gone on to week 3 of my breakup. I've just had week 2, so I wanted to let you know what I've been doing in the last week to overcome heartache and heartbreak. I want to take you through my week so that if you are going through heartache and heartbreak right now, or you're watching this from a previous time when you've gone through it and you just want some more clarity, you want to understand how your emotions work, then this video is for you. First of all, from the bottom of my heart, if you are dealing with heartache and heartbreak right now, I really feel for you. I'm still emotional and I really care. I want you to know that someone cares about you, because you might feel that the person kind of abandoned you, discarded you, push you to one side, and I'm really sorry that they did that to you. It's not nice and it's horrible, and I don't wish that on anyone. I can't understand why people behave that way, because it's not something that I would just do to someone. And if you're a kind, caring, loving person, then I'm really sorry they did that to you, you know? And yes, you do deserve better. So, what's happened in the week? So, first of all, my week started off with going through a cycle, right? Because going through a breakup and a heartache, a heartbreak, you get into patterns of cycles in your brain, right? And it's very difficult to get out of them. So your brain kind of spirals out of control, and it spirals of what if this, it replays conversations in your head of you talking to them, what happened, what they said. You end up recalling something they said like on your first week of your relationship that then changed on the second or third week, or they said something that they didn't mention again, and then you keep recalling bits of different information, so it kind of gets very fragmented as to what you can remember. And sometimes it can bring up more red flags that you weren't aware of at the time, or it can bring up like, hang on a minute, that was great before, but then it just vanished, so what's going on? So in the beginning of the week, I was ruminating, my mind was going around, it's getting very difficult, I was crying and quite a bit, and it was really hard to focus on anything. And part of me still felt this guy should be with me. Notice I say this guy should be with me, not I should be with him, which is quite interesting, isn't it? So it's almost like I believed he belongs with me, so he should be with me. But in actual fact, I'm kind of subconsciously knowing he's no good for me. So anyway, so my mind was kind of thinking he should be with me. That's probably from like a soulmate. I thought he was my soulmate point of view, right? But in reality, this guy can't be my soulmate because he didn't choose me. And one thing I always remember is from a dating coach is that if the person doesn't choose you back and continue to choose you back, they're not your person, they're not your soulmate, because it requires two people to choose each other to be in a relationship with, and to be persistent and consistent, and to have good characteristic traits and qualities for each other, right? So so that can't be the case, but the kind of romantic soulmate type of feeling played back, right? Played quite a big part in the beginning of the week, right? But as the week progressed, I knew I was going to London, and I booked London up, and I knew that I was going for the best time in my life, basically. So I went to the National Achievers Congress. I had my birthday on Wednesday last week. And so that was really interesting. I saw my best friend. Unfortunately, I did get upset during that day, even though it was my birthday. That was Wednesday last week, but I knew that I was going to London on the Friday. So I had it all planned out that I would go to London on the Friday, but I would actually drop my luggage off at the hotel and I go to Chessington World of Adventures, because part of my strategy for dealing with heartache and heartbreak is to get back to who I am in part, right? There's two parts to this. One is I need to get back to who I am, but two is I need to reinvent myself as well and change myself. So that gets very tricky. Bear with me and I will explain what I'm doing as I'm going along, right? Because obviously, if something like this has happened, you need to stop and pause dating and think, what's gone on? How can I try to make sure this doesn't happen again in the future? So that's where you're going to have to do the changing. But a person, when you're with someone and they break up, if they break up in a bad way with you and kind of ghost you, abandon you, discard you, become someone you don't recognize in the end anymore, then it can be very disconcerting, and you can start to question your own reality. You can feel you're going a little bit crazy, like what the hell happened, right? And it can be very difficult emotionally. And I personally think if you're going to leave someone, at least leave them in as best way possible. You're gonna upset them anyway, but don't completely betray their trust, lie, and just go off. Basically, it's just not good. So the way that the relationship ended with this person was really not good, and it was a complete disservice to me. I mean, if they ever cared or loved me about one little bit, they should have definitely not done that. They should have done me the respect of talking about things and like in a more respectful manner. But at the end of the day, they weren't a good guy for me in the end, right? So, but you don't really want someone particularly who will end up, which I didn't know they were going to end up like this, causing you more trauma when you've already had trauma in your life, because it just piles on, right? And it triggers things. Anyway, so when I went to Chessington World of Adventures, it was good because I was getting back to being Sandra, because I haven't felt totally myself since a breakup. And it's been really hard. I've had a lot of kind of triggers, disassociation, feeling weird. And it's hard when you've had a person in your life all of a sudden and then they're gone. It was hard for me to remember what my life was like before I got into a relationship with them. This particular part of the latter part of the week, in the last week, I have set that back again to what it used to be, so I can remember what my life used to be like before I met them again, which is what I need to do. I kind of needed to reset that part of me to remember, hang on a minute, this is Sandra, Bellamy, this is who she is, this is what she likes, this is when she feels good, this is what makes her feel good, this is what makes her feel happy. So in your situation, I need you to do the same. I need you to get back to the root of who you are before you met this person, and try and find things that you found fulfilling and enjoyable without them, and go and do some of those things, as many as possible. Now, you may find that you're a little sad because you're doing them on your own, maybe, but it's better to do them on your own than be with a person who's not right for you, not treating you well, right? So, but you could do it with friends, family, whatever you used to do before, but try and get back to the feelings you had before you're with them, that are good, positive feelings. Then that the time you spent with them isn't the be all and end all of your life. You know that it was just a passing thing. It's not good saying it's a passing thing, because you wanted it to be forever, probably, or a long time, didn't you? Right? But what you need to do is get back to who you were before you met that person, in the best ways possible. So I'm not talking about the miserable times before you met them. I'm talking about the things that made you feel alive, that made you feel really good about yourself, that really filled your heart with joy and excitement and pleasure. Because what we have to do after breakup, we have to put a lot of positive emotions back into our lives, back into our mind, back into our souls. We have to fill our positive cup up. And it's very difficult when you're faced with the grief of the loss of someone. It's still a loss at the end of the day, whether they were horrible or good to you. If you really loved that person, you loved them. No matter, you can love someone who's bad for you, right? You just can't be in the end with someone who's bad for you, but you can still love them. You can still care about them. You can tell that my eyes are still tearing up when I'm talking about this, right? So even though they've gone, they might still be in your mind, your heart, and your soul, right? And so it doesn't just go. And sometimes the more we resist our emotions, the more that they come up again, and the more that they actually become worse. So we've kind of got to face the fact that we might still have love feelings for them, but we have to tell ourselves this won't be the same forever. We will get through this. So you need to talk positively to yourself. You will get through this. You will be okay. You've had heartache and heartbreak before. You can get through this again. It's going to be fine. It's going to be okay. And we have to talk to ourselves like this, because it's not easy, right? We have to comfort ourselves, especially if we live on our own. I live on my own. So it's a lot more harder when you live on your own, because you haven't got distractions of talking to other people. Where he lives, he's got a house full of people. He shares a room with someone. So it's not the same for him. He used to be in my flat here. So at the beginning of the week, it's really horrible for me, because all I kept thinking about is the memories of him. Since I've been away, I feel better in my own home again. But, he's got a much more easier way of getting over me, in the sense that, he didn't have me in his home, and like he's got people to talk to and stuff like that. I live on my own, right? So I'm mostly here by myself, so I have to talk to myself the majority of the time, right? And so that is harder for me. And so for me as an extrovert asexual, it's good to be around people. So getting away to go to London was one of the best things, if not probably the best thing I could have ever done for myself. But it wasn't just because it was in London, which ironically is where he lives, which was a bit of a difficult thing. But I went to the National Achievers Congress. So bear with me if you're following me. Friday I went to the theme park, like I said, which was Chessington World of Adventures theme park. Now, reason I want to go to a theme park was it's exciting. Excuse me, it's exhilarating. Makes me feel so good, brings out the young teenager fun side of me that I absolutely adore about myself, and it just feels so good. I like the adrenaline, right? I do realize that I'm a person who likes entertainment, excitement, adrenaline to a certain degree, and I like boom 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 boom. I like motion, I like energy. So when I go to a theme park, it matches my personality, and I get to love my personality myself all over again, because the music, and if it's got music in the theme park, the fast rides, the people, it just brings me back to life. And so if you're going through a heartache and heartbreak, I want you to bring yourself back to life, to the present moment, to the moment you're living now, but in a good way. Because obviously when we've got trauma, which a breakup is trauma, we tend to disassociate from that trauma. So we'll disassociate from the present moment a lot, because we don't want the feelings, right? We don't want the hurt. We don't want the pain. And by disassociating from ourselves, we can disassociate from that pain somewhat. And I think subconsciously, this is why disassociation happens in this occurrence, obviously, because it's trauma as well. It is a huge trauma, especially if they left you full of lies and deceit or whatever they've been doing. If they left you in not a good way when they left, that just piles on the trauma. You've got the grief, which is trauma in and of itself. You got the case of what the hell happened, and then you've got the case of like how, like what the way they left, right? Which is the worst thing you can do to someone. I don't even behave like that to people I don't like. If I don't like someone, I leave their life with grace. I don't just anyway. It is what it is. You've got to deal with it, right? So week 2 is better than week 1. Week 2 is less emotional, if you know what I mean. I can focus on some things now. I can get stuff done, especially since I've been away. The beginning was hard, but since I've been away, theme park was really good. I'm at one with the rides. I'm feeling really good. I'm around the buzz of people. It wasn't too busy actually there, so I got on a lot of rides and got quite a lot of ride time in. Some rides we were able to go on a few times. I say because there's other people there able to stay on. I did challenge myself. So hi Liam, hi Sandra. Sorry your relationship ended. He lost a beautiful, intelligent woman. Oh, thank you, Liam. I'm glad to see you here. Yes. If only he would know he lost a beautiful, intelligent woman. God knows what's going through his mind, but never mind. But thank you. But yeah, it is his loss. He probably doesn't even realise what he's lost, but there we go. One day he might. But then it's too late now anyway. But yes, thank you. He did lose a beautiful, intelligent woman. I totally agree with you. So yeah, and so yeah, he just didn't value me in the end, basically, to cut a long story short. But yeah, so when I'm going to theme parks, and this particular theme park, it's one that I haven't been to for years, but I used to really enjoy. But there's a dating coach called Bernardo Mendez, right? And he's got this 8-week program, which is a free video on his YouTube, which tells you how to get over heartbreak in a series of what you have to do, steps you have to take over 8 weeks. Now, I've just gone to week 1 of Bern Mendez's program, and I should technically be on have done week 2 by now. But what I did was I still, because I am upset, because it's a difficult time for me, right? I find it hard to do everything on week 1, honestly. So it's hard for me to do it. So what I did before I went away, I actually looked at the other stages of what to do and the weeks ahead. And one of the things you have to do is you have to get out of your comfort zone, push yourself and do things you wouldn't normally do. So dare yourself to do more things, to come come alive, be alive. So when I went to the theme park, Chessington, I went on some rides that I wouldn't usually go on because they're very, very scary to me. And I'm like, oh my God, I feel like I can't do this. So I pushed myself on purpose to make myself have more adrenaline and excitement to do some rides that I never thought I could do. So one was a pirate ship, but I went in the middle first of all, and then I went at the very end of the pirate ship, which is where it swings up at its most highest peak. So I did that, which I was so proud of. And I also went on this ride, which was, oh my God, it literally went upside down. You're hanging there and it goes on its side and you're literally hanging on the side. It was so scary. It's like a cobra. And it was just like so scary. And I couldn't believe I did that. But I was listening like with to what Bern said. I'm like, you've got to do it, Sandra. You've got to challenge yourself to do more hard things. And you've got to do them. You've got to put more excitement into your life, more adrenaline, and do it, because this helps you get over heartache and heartbreak, because you're making your life more exciting than it was when you were with that person, basically. So you're doing as many exciting things, invigorating things, things that thrill you and make you feel good, the things that you're passionate about. So all these like positive adrenaline type emotions that you might get from a relationship addiction, you're kind of getting on your own through your own pleasure of doing things. Does that make sense? So, that's why it's good to go and fill your cup up with things you absolutely love, that make you feel great, that make you feel special, loved, adored, treasured in and of your own right, that make you feel so good. So the majority of the time it was really, really good to go to this theme park. There was some Indian guys there, so that was a little bit difficult. There was some, couples and stuff there. So that was a little bit hard, because it had been harder to deal with seeing couples. And it was just like, but the majority of the time I didn't think so much about him while I was there. Towards the end I started thinking more about him, so that was like more difficult. But then when Saturday came and I went to the National Achievers Congress, which is run by Success Resources, which is called something like Happy Money Happy Living, or Happy Living Happy Money, something like that. Anyway, it was a 2-day business event, right? And for me, this event, the one that's run by Success Resources, National Achievers Congress, this is the company whose event I went to back in 2012 that completely changed my life for the better forever. So in 2012, I went to my personal first business seminar ever, which was run by this company, Success Resources, which are still running it to this day. And it was called the National Achievers Congress. And then they give it a special title depending on what the specific things they focus on. So a lot of it was about finances and making money online, the one I've just been to. And so and it's about being happy as well as making money. So that's really important. They did say at the end, that money can help bring happiness, but it can't replace people, basically. So when you're on your deathbed, make sure you do actually value the person that you're with, the value a relationship. And do you know something I was so happy to see? The speakers were saying how long they've been married, and they were praising their wives. That's how it should be. If the guy's proud to be with his woman, he should be praising his woman in public. One guy, his wife was sat in the front row seat, and he said, "Hey, my gorgeous, beautiful wife's here. She's there in the front row," and she stood up and waved to everyone. That is what a proper team relationship should be. He's on stage, she's supporting him in the front row. He's proud to be with her. And I think they look like I'm not sure if they're the same culture or not, but they look might be a bit different. But the whole point is these people are proud of their wives. These people are really happy, to be with their partner. The guy who runs Success Resources, the CEO, the guy who owns that whole company, his wife plays a role in his business, a big role in his business. He says the best piece of advice ever is to listen to your wife. So she's always right. So, that's really funny. But it's good that they all praise their partners, their wives, because that's what a real man in business does. He realizes that the woman is a support for him, just like a guy should be supporting a woman in her career, in her work as well. It works both ways. So, and the people, these so I went to the business seminar on these. Like I said, this event is run by the same company as the one I went to in 2012 that completely changed my life for the better forever. So in 2012, I saw a guy called Tony Robbins. You can look him up. Anthony Robbins, he's otherwise known as the world's leading coach. And I saw him live on stage, right? And he got us to do crazy things like go around and hug strangers. And back then, I had social anxiety. I could not touch another person unless I was in a relationship with a guy. And to hug my parents goodbye was about it, or if they got me presents. Like, I couldn't touch strangers. I was very touch averse. And so Tony Robbins said, oh, go around the audience and hug people, as many people in X amount of minutes. And I'm like, oh my God. But I did it. It got me really out of my comfort zone. And now I can hug strangers. So I'm fine. But I didn't just do it. I did just do it as in start hugging people there, but I didn't just be comfortable with it straight away. It took me quite a few years to get really comfortable with doing that. And now I just think it's nice, but I'm very careful. I'm very careful with boundaries, there's a difference between hugging and cuddling. I don't go around cuddling people that are not in a relationship with me, a person. Yeah, there we go. So anyway, so because I've been to this event years ago in 2012 and it changed my life, I thought that it can probably do the same right now. And it's what I need to change my life. And I was not joking when I said that. And it was amazing. And it was life changing for me because I remembered who the F I am, and I fitted in so well there. And I realized through that whole experience that why the hell am I even thinking about my ex? Like, in terms of I never, ever, ever in my entire life ever want to be with a guy ever again that makes me feel like I'm an irritation to him, that makes me feel like I'm a burden to him. In the end, he wasn't like this in the beginning. That makes me feel like any less than I am. Do you know what I mean? I don't want to be that with that type of guy. It's horrible. I'm like, oh my God, it's just disgusting. Like, you know what I mean? And so these people brought me back to the reality of who I am and what I do deserve, and because when you're in a relationship with someone, they can kind of blur your reality a little bit by making you feel like you're in the wrong and there's something wrong with you, right? But when you break it down, you actually have sensible people on stage and you realize you've got the same values and beliefs a lot of the time as the speakers and the people around you. And these are high vibe, high value people. You're like, hang on a minute, I'm around the right type of people now. This guy was not the right type of guy for me. Right. So I'm in the audience, and one of the first things that the speakers say is, if you're here, you're not normal. And normal sucks. And it means you're crazy. And it's good to be crazy. And I'm like, yes, so good. The weird thing is, in this guy's Facebook dating profile, which is how I met him, the guy I've split up with, he wants someone to give him mental peace, but also someone who's a little bit crazy. Now, those are both contradictory terms. If you want someone who's a bit crazy, they're not going to be normal. So therefore, they aren't going to give you, it depends what you call mental peace, doesn't it? Right? But if you're talking about mental peace as in, was I loyal? Yes. Was I honest? Yes. Was I clearly into you so you didn't have to have mixed signals from a woman messing you around? Yes. Was I there for you? Yes. Like, all of those things are yeses. So actually, that should have given mental peace. But anyway, like I said, I felt by the end of the relationship, I was more of an irritation to him than actually a valuable person and an asset to him, right? So he didn't value my worth in the end anymore, right? And by going to this business seminar, these guys are saying, it's good to not be normal, because before I went to the seminar, I wasn't feeling good about myself. I was feeling like I don't belong. I was feeling like really bad about myself. I shouldn't be, because no guy should make me feel like that. But, I wasn't feeling good, because you always, if you're a good, honest person, you kind of question yourself, especially if they make you feel like, yeah, they're irritated by you or something. And I'm just thinking, no, actually, you're valuable, Sandra. He's just the wrong person for you. He doesn't appreciate what he's got, right? If he just likes to be lazy, let's face it, he doesn't want to do any work. You know what I mean? A proper healthy relationship is work. If you don't want to do work, then don't bother having one. So anyway, it became crystal clear that just, that why should I even be interested in a guy who's finds me an irritation? You know what I mean? Why? I'm not that type of person. I'm valuable, right? So when I went to the business seminar, they were saying, you're not normal sucks. I'm like, yes, because this is what I really believe, and this is what I really feel and think. So it was like getting me back to becoming myself again, to remember who I damn well am and how great I am, And that it was 2012 that woke me up to self-loving. I didn't love myself until 2012 when I went to my first National Tuber Congress seminar. I had depression for years. I didn't love myself. I didn't like myself. I didn't like my life, right? But it changed everything. And so by going to this event, it shifted a lot of stuff, good stuff my way again. Like the guys were like on about timekeeping, right? Which is one of the issues I had in the past relationship, where he seems to think being late and not even bothering to message me, and waiting around for him is what I should accept. No, damn well not. These guys are like really on the case about timekeeping. They're all about, in order to do business, you have to be disciplined. You have to be organized. You need to work hard up front, and they were all about timekeeping, and they called people out who were late coming in. They're like, these people showed up on time. You're in the top 1% of whatever people who bothered to even get here on a Saturday and Sunday, who bothered to show up, who bothered to do the work. You're different. You're the type of people that are going to make it in this world. Not someone who doesn't bother turning up or turns up when they damn well feel like it. You know what I mean? So they were trying to say, like you should be here on time. It's all about discipline and accountability to yourself and stuff like this, which is damn well true. So they embodied my values, which made me in turn feel damn valuable again. I'm like, yes, of course I should be like, this person should be there on time for me or before time. If you're in a relationship and you're really into someone, which clearly it wasn't in the end, you'd be like, oh, of course I want to see you. Like, let's go. Time is the most valuable, precious thing you can ever give to someone. If you're giving time with someone, that's your most valuable asset ever, because you never ever get time back. Ever. You can get some money back, you can get more money coming in, but you can't get that time back, right? It's gone forever. So if you give someone your time, then they should be valuing that time, right? They should be valuing it. Because, like you could die in a heartbeat, and then if you spent the time with them, you could have been spending it with other people, you know what I mean? So no one knows what's going to happen in a heartbeat, you know what I'm saying? So it's really important to value people's time. It's respectful and it's good to be reliable. Like they said, accountability is really important. Mindset, punctuality, like it's really important. So I loved it because the guys embraced my values and beliefs. They were saying this is the best way to be. So of course it's good, because it's like validating me as a person, validating my personality. And they're all about high octane energy. Bring it, keep bringing it. It might be half, 3/4 of the way through the day. You might be feeling tired, but I want to feel that energy, let's bring it. Even one of the hosts, they came up behind me at one point over my shoulder and said something about my energy being good. And I got complimented by a girl who said, you're beautiful, which is really nice. When another woman, I mean, I'm not a lesbian. She wasn't a lesbian. She was just admiring my whole outfit and the way I looked and how pretty I looked, which was really nice to me, because it's nice if another woman thinks I look beautiful, It's a shame my ex didn't really see that, I don't think, but there we go. I do get lesbians that find me attractive. I do get gay guys that find me attractive as well. So I do get quite a lot of people finding me attractive. But anyway, I'm digressing. And then there was one girl behind, in the road behind at one point, and she specifically said to me, she was in the road behind saying, I love your energy, So there I get praised for being me. I get praised for being loud, energetic, bubbly, hyper Sandra, which is who I'm meant to be. When I was in a relationship, he was telling me to speak more slowly. Yet he has videos 1 times 5% faster because he gets bored with slow talk. It's like, why do you want to make me be something I'm not, just to turn into someone you're not even attracted to? It's very bizarre behavior, right? Why would you tell someone to behave in a different way to who they are? One is that's not good anyway, because you don't really like them for who they are. And 2 is it really dampens down their personality. And 3, if you specifically don't like slow speaking on YouTube and you're literally 1.5 times speeding it up, but you're asking me to speak slower, it's just complete contradictory. information, and it's just like, what the F, right? So at the business seminar, I was able to sort my thoughts into much more logical. So at the beginning, I was like very emotional over him, but by the end of the week, I was a lot more logical. I'm like, this guy clearly is not the type of guy you want to be with, Sandra. I mean, he clearly didn't value your worth in the end. He clearly, like, treat you more like an irritant or something. And it's just horrible. Absolutely horrible. I never, ever, ever want to feel like that ever again in a relationship. So at the moment, I'm not on the dating scene. I did briefly try to reinstall. Well, I did actually reinstall my phone, Badoo, but I couldn't get. So it said, I had an email that said your account will be deleted in 28 days. And it was like the 28th day, I think, when I was away, because I deleted it because I was no longer looking for a relationship. But it was still in my email saying you can still get it back within 28 days. So I did try and get it back. And I emailed the team, but they didn't respond. And I downloaded the app and I saw myself in there. And as my birthday had changed, I saw my birthday had changed, but it was still much the same guys anyway. And I'm just thinking, all right, it doesn't matter, because I wanted to reactivate my account because I had premium membership to in case I want to use it in the future. I don't really want to use it now because I don't want to be interested in guys now. But anyway, they didn't get back to me, so I just deleted the app completely now. Because it kept locking me out again, saying prove your identity. And so, even though I actually saw my account, so I'm not on it anymore. I think I've got rid of the whole account now. Because literally, I couldn't reactivate my premium thing. So, and it just kept asking me to re-sign up, which I'm not doing because I don't want to be going on date apps. I want to be free of thinking about a relationship in that way for a long time. So this has taught me at the moment that I need to heal. It's brought up a lot of old triggers for me and wounds, which is not good. I didn't expect that, but there we go, stuff I have to work on. And also I need to work on myself in regards to relationships, dating and stuff like this. I don't want to get the wrong guy for me again, right? It's really important. I don't want to take all the upset, pain and trauma from this relationship into a relationship with a new guy and just cop the whole thing up, right? I'm not going to do that to another guy in the future. I want to sort my shit out that I've got from this past relationship, which isn't good for me. So I don't want to bring that to a new relationship. And so I need to sort myself out. So at the moment, I'm very focused on other aspects of my life. I decided that no longer am I actively pursuing my soulmate. Do I believe I have one? Yes, a little bit of me still believes I have one, right? But I thought this guy who clearly wasn't it was it, and it wasn't, or at least not in this lifetime. So, and a soulmate I've always believed wouldn't lie to me. So there were indications that the guy wasn't the soulmate because he's a liar, right? Which, why does anyone want a liar? Why did I even stay with him? But you know what I mean? So my soulmate wouldn't lie to me, he'd be honest. And I thought my soulmate was a bit younger anyway, but in theory. But anyway, I just think that 10 years of searching for my soulmate is enough for now. And it led to a guy that was wrong for me. And so I just got to cut it there. Like 10 years, I don't want that my main focus of my life anymore. So I'm now changing my life. I believe this will take me up to a different level entirely of my life. I believe that right now it is still a struggle for me. It's still hard. I have shed some tears still today, even though I've been feeling so much better overall. And I've just been feeling a lot better since I went to the seminar. I'm like, why would you even want to stay with someone who makes you feel like you're an irritation to them, who makes you feel devalued, who doesn't even see your worth? Why would you even bother with someone like that, Sam? There's no point in that. Actually, I don't want to ever be in a relationship with a guy like that ever again. I don't even know how someone has no conscience and can just lie and feel totally fine about lying and deceiving and doing that. I just don't know how anyone can do that, to be quite frank. There's quite a few people, but you know what I mean? I just don't know how someone can do it. I just couldn't live like that. But there we go. So that's a lot of reflection. So I bought a book before I went away called Love Life by Matthew Hussey. He's one of the top dating and relationship coaches on YouTube, right? And this is his latest book, a new book. So I've started reading it today and I've made a lot of highlights in it. And I did start crying when I was reading it because I recognize a lot of the issues and problems that I've been going through in this book. And it's a real interesting book because this guy who's been a dating relationships coach for absolute years admits in this book in front of everyone in the world that he did in actual fact lie himself in the past. So he said he used to be a horrible person to date, but even though he's a dating relationship coach, he kept that hidden for years from the public about how bad he was today and the things he did are bad. So it's a bit like a confessions book. And he's explaining, he really like hits home a lot of the time. This book only just came out recently. And so, I've been making a lot of notes. I've been going through it. I'm like, oh, this is some of my problems. Right. It actually talks about liars in here and avoidance, which is the chapter I'm currently on. Liam, I love being aromantic. It's one less thing to have to worry about. Yes, Liam. There are benefits to being aromantic. I totally agree with you. Although some aromantics do want relationships. I know the majority don't, but I do know some that like relationships. But yeah, it's good. But yeah, so and also, like this apply a lot of this stuff in here, they say applies to all types of relationships though, like friendship, some of it applies to friendships as well, because it talks about having a healthy relationship. So that can be a friendship as well. It doesn't have to be a romantic. Actually, Matthew talks about he helps people more lately with the LGBTQ community. He didn't used to, but now he caters more for the LGBT people as well, right? And he's getting more used to dealing with different gender identities and stuff like that. So it is good. I've been, it's very interesting about what he says. I relate to it a lot, but it's really weird. Yeah. So he talks about he helps people more in the LGBTQ community, right? So this is really interesting to do with my situation, right? So this is some of the stuff that I've gone through. And when it says like in his book, we're on, like the introduction, it says this is what Matthew's talking about to in the book about himself, something he wrote down. So these notes weren't even hard to find. There were a lot of them, many too embarrassing to put in this book. A particular sad line I found sandwiched in between a bunch of work-related to-dos reads, "My expectations are what's fucking me up right now. Before I just appreciated it for what it was, but then I went from gratitude to expectation." Right? And I've thought about, because when I've been in self-blame mode, I thought about that. I'm like, oh, I just didn't appreciate the guy enough, blah, blah, blah. And like, oh, I should just not expect things, right? But then Matthew's saying quite rightly, here we have the chilling justification for my then well-practiced I can't even say that. Misogyny, macho. I can't pronounce it. MASOCHISM. I don't. My problem is not that my needs aren't getting met. My problem is that I have needs. All I need to do is get back to being grateful that I have this person instead of having any expectation from them. Forget feeling safe, secure, loved. You're just lucky to be there. So yeah, so he's basically being a bit sarcastic. Saying that it's the wrong thing to say about yourself. It's the whole point is that of course you're allowed to have needs. And I think this is really important because, people say in relationships, like you shouldn't have any expectations from other people and it's so bad. But like your needs are an expectation. You expect the person who loves you would make you feel safe, secure, and loved. Not just be a person, oh, you're lucky to have them without them actually giving you your needs. So I think this is a really good thing that Matthew says in this book, is that, the fact is you are allowed needs in a relationship and they should be being met, especially your basic needs. And if even your basic needs aren't being met, then it's something completely wrong. So after the initial pain of heartbreak, it became abundantly clear that this was a wrong relationship for me, which is true because in the end, I didn't feel safe, secured, loved at all, or appreciated, you know what I mean? In the very, very end. So, yeah. So one thing else he writes in here, he said, when our own form of crazy leads us down the wrong path, or even when we do everything right and someone simply crushes crushes us anyway, it helps to have a home to come back to, a place of love, truth, and restoration. So for me, the actual National Achievers Congress fitted that bill, if you like, because when I'm at the National Achievers Congress, like everyone's like got high, like everyone's like vibing quite high. Everyone's like full of love a lot of the time. I'm not, well, I say everyone, the majority of the people, like are into hugs, they're into like talking to people, they're into like mixing with people, they're into like like a community there. So I felt like that was a place of love for me over the weekend. I felt that was a place of truth for me, that was a place of restoration for me. So although in Exeter I haven't really got that because I live on my own, I found that by going to this 2-day seminar, I felt loved again, just by strangers. There was a guy I actually knew there who I've been Facebook friends with for a few years. There's a picture of me and him actually that I got to put on social media. Yeah. But I didn't know he's going to the same event, and he happened to be in the same row as me, but across another lot of seating, if you know what I mean. So he's further down the line. So it's really good to see him. And yeah, so apart from him, I didn't know anyone there. And it was just amazing, though, I mean, I knew of some of the speakers, but didn't know anyone in the audience apart from him. And so it's really good. At the end of the second day, it was all like, you've got to hug 30 people now and talk to them. So I went around hugging people, like, do you want to hug? And I really needed hugs because obviously, splitting up with someone is really difficult. Especially when you've had strong love feelings for that person. And so, like you kind of feel a sense of like touch. You got a like lack of touch, if you know what I mean, because you used to get touching from that in like and cuddles and stuff. So when you haven't got anyone, it's kind of hard in that way. So just by going up there and hugging different people and feeling like I felt appreciated, I felt valued, I felt loved, I felt cherished, I felt adored, I felt like special me again. I felt like, a high octane, energetic Sandra's back. I felt like I'm me again. I felt I was really appreciated for who I am there, which is something that I didn't feel at the end of the relationship, which I should have done if he truly loved me. I should have felt that way, but I didn't, and I look at the contrast between the way I felt at the very end of the relationship, like high anxiety, stressed and worried about stuff, and the fact he lied to me in the end, to being at the seminar where they have the same type of standards as me, the same type of values as me, the same type of beliefs as me. They appreciate my energy, they appreciate the way I look. I think why do strangers make me feel so much better than my ex, right? Because I feel like they valued my worth. I felt really at home and comfortable there. So for me, that was a place of love from strangers. It was a place of being myself and being true and honest, you know, and authentic, and being appreciated for that. It was a place of restoration, of where I could be reinvigorated and come alive again. And it made me feel so much better. I felt like I was on top of the mountain, and that the ex relationship was like down the mountain. So I felt so much better, so much happier, so much vibrancy and energy, and just like, oh my God, I'm so glad Sandra's back. This is who you're born to be. You're born to be so much more, especially than he ever gave you credit for. You're born, sometimes the way he talked to me, it's like I was 5 years old in terms of business. Like, he would start telling me about stuff that I already knew about, like, and it's like, I've done like book publishing for 9 years. I do my own book covers. I know about graphic design, and I got my own t-shirts, my own clothing store for asexuals. And I felt like some of the way he talked to me is like I was 5 years old or something in business. Like, some of the stuff he knows that I don't know, like other stuff to do with financial stuff. But you know what I mean? Like, I know a lot of business stuff because I've been in the business entrepreneur space since 2012. And when you've got someone speaking to you, so you're 5 years old and know nothing, it's quite patronizing, actually. So I did say to him, and like, speak to me like I'm five. You know what I mean? So yeah. But anyway, like, when I went to the business seminar, I felt like, my intellectual self again, respected, appreciated, loved. And people love my personality there, and I felt so alive and happy. So I think that's really important to note that. So one of the things that Matthew Hussey talks about in this Love Life book, which is really good as well, And it says like, so it talks about Matthew talking to this guy who's had a heartbreak and split up. And he said Matthew's advice to get over a heartbreak quicker is you're mourning because you think you've lost the person you're supposed to be with. But I can promise you, you haven't. Because unless someone chooses you, they're not the person you're supposed to be with. You can be disappointed that she wasn't the right person. In my case, he wasn't the right person. But you can't grieve like she, in my case, he was, because she's, in my case, he's not. Disappointment takes a minute to get over, but it's much easier to recover from disappointment than the idea that you've lost the love of your life. You didn't lose that. That is still to come. Something better is coming for you. I promise you, brother, because it was Matthew talking to a guy. So he is saying that Matthew was the one whose videos I was watching who said, you can't, the person who's meant to be with you for life, who's meant to be your person, will choose to be with you, and you choose a back. It's a two-way street. You know what I mean? Which is very weird because the guy he's my ex, I remember him saying love is just one way. And that's actually, according to the relationship guru, no, it's not. Yeah, because you have to love each other and choose to love the other person. You have to be reciprocal, basically. So, allow me to restate what I said to Roy, is what Matthew's saying in his book, in case you yourself are struggling to move on from someone who didn't choose you. It's okay to be disappointed that someone didn't turn out to be the one, but don't grieve as if they were the one. If they didn't choose you, they're not. So that's what I find hard, because originally this guy did choose me, but then he didn't choose me in the end. So I have to think of the end, not the beginning. And while we're on this subject, by the end of this book, I want your confidence to be in place of where someone not choosing you is the biggest turnoff in the world. So that's why I'm reading this book, to gain a lot more insight into healthy relationships and what I need to improve myself, you know what I mean? And insights, right? But it's interesting because Matthew also says we become far stronger by what goes wrong in our lives than what goes right. But that's a bit weird, because then you're thinking, oh, right, so I need more things to go wrong to be getting stronger then, do I? You know what I mean? Yeah. So this is what Matthew says. A real relationship requires bravery from both sides. It requires us to be vulnerable enough to allow ourselves to be seen. It requires curiosity and vision to fully take in what the other person is, to really see them, to accept their on-camera selves and their hidden behind-the-scenes mess, to view their worst parts with acceptance and generosity, not contempt, and to have enough faith and strength to trust the other person to offer the same latitude to our darker sides. On top of all this, it requires two people who actually have a vision for where they want the relationship to go, and the daily execution to move forward toward that vision. Exceptional relationships are not found, they're built. And I think this is so important, because for some reason people think you don't have to work at relationship. They think, oh, it'll just happen naturally, you don't have to do any work. Of course you have to do work. It's a relationship, there's two different people involved, but you both have to be prepared to put in the much time, energy and effort to make it work, not just one person doing it, because that isn't a teamwork then. And you can't have a relationship with yourself unless you want to be single, which is, in the end, I did say to him, I'm happier being single, to be honest. Right. Right. So in this book, Matthew does actually say why being single is so hard. And he said he wants people to go out in the world knowing there are real steps they can take, things they can do, and things they should stop doing. So, right. What matters to me is not that someone is in a relationship, but that they are happy with whatever their status is right now. I've never preached that people should be in a relationship. I've just helped them find one if they want to be. And second, I don't think my being in a relationship is my strongest qualification. I happened to get engaged while writing this chapter, which is a happy circumstance for me, but the label alone shouldn't be a badge of honor. Simply being in a relationship doesn't make me or anyone else a success. This is really important because people think that, oh, no one can give dating relationship advice if they're not in a relationship, right? But Matthew wasn't in a relationship for serious committed relationship for years, and he was still a dating relationship coach for years. Before it, which he still is now. He's married now. But he got engaged whilst writing this. So simply being in a relationship doesn't make me or anyone else a success. Many people I've coached could proudly count themselves more successful the day they left their relationship. And I have to say, the day after I left the relationship, no, the same day I left the relationship, but I officially ended it on the 15th of April, was the day I published this Diary Confessions of a Hyper-Romantic Asexual book in Kindle version, digital copy. Then I published it in printed version the second day of Split Up, which was the 16th of April. And that week it became a bestseller and #1 in hot new releases on Amazon.com and Amazon.co.uk. And it was bestseller in 3 categories on each of them. This was after I split up with the guy. Some people can't even believe I did that. Like, the guy I thought was the love of my life treated me really badly in the end. And I officially split with him on the Monday because he couldn't be asked to officially end it. And then I literally published my book. Had to get all this ready, the back stuff, with the description and the categories it went in and the description of the series and everything like that. And actually, do the final cover because I had to move me a little bit on the cover to get all this heart bit in. So I did this despite the fact I was grieving and I'd just been in shock that the guy could lie and deceive me at the end like that and be so horrible to me in the end. Right. So, yeah. So I got that done. So when Matthew says that I've coached, like many people I've coached could proudly count themselves more successful the day they left their relationship is true for me. The day I left my relationship was the day I published this book, which became a bestseller and #1 hot new release. Now I say that means I'm more successful without this guy in my life than I was with him. So yes, more successful the exact same day. Someone wrote on my Facebook, one of my entrepreneur associates, they wrote, like, did you do this considering the recent events? And I'm like, yeah, I wrote the book before, but I still had to do last corrections. I still had to do all the description, the bullet, the description of the book, the description of the series. I had to do, pick all the categories. It took me ages because you have to pick certain categories. And yeah, and so it was like kind of, wow, you did all that. And my best friend's like, oh, you should be so proud. It's so amazing you did that, considering all you've been through. I mean, it's traumatic breakup. And I still ended up being a winner with my book. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, that is really good. I am proud of myself for that. Right. So yeah, this book is really good. Like, I'll keep reading it. And if you decide you're not in such a rush to find a relationship after reading this book because you're loving life and being you, and you're not trying to fill a hole by finding someone who will make you feel good enough, then that's the jackpot. Yeah, it's weird. Before I met him, I did feel really good about my life and myself. But when I was with him by the end of it, I didn't. So with me, it's weird. Do you know what I mean? Because it's like I do feel that at the beginning, but didn't later on. So, but yeah, none of this makes being single easy. Even if we shake off the outside pressure to meet someone, we still have to deal with our own feelings about the need to connect. So that is what is difficult for asexuals, right? Because even though we're asexual, we still need connection. A lot of us still like some sensual touching, for example, cuddles or hugs and stuff like this. You know what I mean? A lot of asexuals love cuddling. And so, and it's human connection, the things about a relationship that when I got into one that I liked was the fact that someone's kind of like, oh, was there for you on a daily basis. It's like companionship. When it was in the beginning, it was good, and it's kind of like, natural to be with someone sometimes, and it's kind of like, you can take on the world together, you can go to different places together, you can just be with each other. Those are, like having someone to share your day with, your time with, that's special to you, and take on the world together. That's what I did value. But now I'm single again, I'm thinking, yeah, I love being single. I can do what I want when I want. I'm actually more successful. My anxiety is like really reduced incredibly. I'm less stressed now in those general terms. I can focus on my health, which is really important to me, and getting myself, because since I've been away, I've actually got bad back and ribs that really hurts me. So I've actually kind of like injured myself inadvertently. I think that's because I had a lot of luggage and stuff. But when I was jumping up and down dancing, like jumping up and down to music at the seminar, I started hurting myself, my ribs and my back. So I'm trying to get myself better from that at the moment. But you know what I mean? It means that I can focus on my health, I can focus on my career and other aspects. So right. So it can be depressing when a relationship we've invested months or years in goes wrong and we find ourselves back to square one. There doesn't seem to be an account where we build wealth in our love lives. So yeah, it's really interesting. So yeah, love wealth, Right. So, but whatever state you find yourself in, dating, dumped, divorced, defiant, everybody has to face the emotions that come with being single. Compared to the trauma of heartbreak or the apocalypse of divorce, the day-to-day challenges and stress of being single can feel frustratingly elusive. So, how do you tackle a problem when the problem is an absence at the heart of life? Still, it can hurt not to have someone. And once you start adding up all the little aches, you wind up with a chronic condition. Some days when you have a lot on your plate and feel confident, or at least happy, preoccupied with life, the stress is manageable. Other days it can feel like a constant battle against an opponent only you can see. Sometimes the pain of being single hits you on the best days of all when you're carried away with a peak experience. And it's exactly the exceptional quality of this happiness that reminds you that you have no one to share it with. I think that is what's difficult, like if you've really achieved something, you want to share it with people, right? But obviously you got to find the right person to share it with. Like I told my ex, like, have you watched my Oxford University talk? Because it's really important. It's a big moment in life. And he's like, oh, I just haven't watched it yet. And then later on, he's like, basically he doesn't want to do that. It's not who he is. It's like, what, you don't support your girlfriend? It's like you're non-supportive of your girlfriend. You don't give a shit about what they do. You don't even care about their career. Right. Okay. That's nice. You know what I mean? So it's just like, yeah. So, but in a healthy relationship, it would be nice to have someone to share that with, so, sometimes the pain of being single hits you on the best of days, like I just said, when you're carried away with a peak experience, and exactly the exceptional quality of this happiness that reminds you that you have no one to share it with, no one to listen to you when you're doing something that excites you, no one beside you if you just want to take it all in silence. So that's kind of be hard when you're single, but I usually share it with the world on my channel here, and in posts and stuff, but and with my best friend I usually do as well. So it's really interesting that Matthew goes on to talk about relationships, and he says, people are so often defined by the things they want, the desires they have, and everything that they're determined to accomplish. But we are also shaped by the things we reject, everything we have to say no to just to get to where we hope to be. It takes a lot of living to know the things you can't put up with. And each time you put one more of them behind you, it takes you further from the person you used to be and the choices you would once have made. Then someone appears in front of you who has arrived at the same place, and you recognize in each other the distance you've traveled from home. That isn't magic, or if it is, it's not a magic that was ever available to you when you were 19. So basically, he in this book, he's talking about the fact of soulmates, and like basically like romanticizing people like ending up together and everything like that. But he's saying that, you know, really you truly find love when you're older and you understand what you won't put up with, and you've been through like a lot of trauma and stuff, but you find that you meet a person when you're at because they've been through a similar journey and you're both ready to be together and work as a team. That's basically what it says. So it's interesting that Matthew has got chronic pain himself. So because I've got fibromyalgia, which is chronic pain condition that affects the nerves and muscles of the body, I can relate to a lot of what he said. So Matthew's put, I'm drawn to this connection to chronic pain because scientists have found that chronic pain reconfigures the brain with persistence. Persistent pain. This is really interesting. I didn't know that scientists have like done all this research. So I'm drawn to this connection to chronic pain because scientists have found that chronic pain reconfigures the brain with persistent pain. The pain responses become disinhibited. The pain receptors become disinhibited. So they're now on a hair trigger response, activating faster than they would in pain-free people. So that's very interesting. And also, I'd say that about my anxiety as well, that my anxiety works on a hair trigger response because it's hardwired into my DNA, especially because I have pre-birth trauma. So it means my anxiety, it means I'm much more likely to get anxious in a heartbeat than other people. This means that now you can't just treat the pain, you have to rewire the brain. But even when I was in a state, there was always seemed to be a small escape hatch. So Matthew's talking about his own pain here. Every day there was a moment just after I woken up before I fully come out of the dream I was having and remembered exactly who I was, where I got a quick glimpse of what it felt like to be pain-free. I kind of know what that feels like, you know. But I get pain-free when I dance in clubs sometimes because I'm so the euphoria just like, you know, like masks. I don't know if it masks the pain or it just takes the pain away for a little bit. So anyway, so Matthew says, I finally learned to change my relationship to the pain, which I noticed changed from day to day. I began to get curious about that. I started tracking what was going on during the day when the pain was 7 or 8. That was different from the days when it was a 4 or 5. He talks about this and he starts relating it to relationships and saying to be a social experimenter. So that's very interesting. Now, one of the things that I noticed here, he was talking about value and worth, right? And he was also talking about there's a danger in love stories that are more fun to tell because of just how heightened, dramatic, or unlikely they are. So yeah, he's talking about relationships that end up being a lot of drama. So yeah, but this is very good about the quality. So sometimes if we want to start living again, we need to let go of the story we tell for the way we are telling it to ourselves and to the rest of the world. It isn't easy. Many of us know that familiar twinge of regret years after a breakup over a relationship we know ended for a very good reason. God forbid any of these momentary daydreams come true. And my high school girlfriend, this is Matthew talking, and I finally find ourselves back together on some ski lift in Switzerland or on a whale watching cruise in Patagonia, is it? Yeah, so basically he's saying that, you know, a lot of movies and people fantasize about the fact they get their ex back and everything ends up being good in the end. But he's trying to say that that's not basically going to happen. So you've got to let go of an old love story. You've got to, let go of the idea that that person's going to come back and everything's going to be miraculously better in the future. You know, you've got to let go of that story. So letting go of an old love story starts with resetting what it is we actually value in life. And to do that, we need to decide what a love story worth having actually looks like. Only then can we start telling ourselves different and healthier stories. So this is very interesting. Can the one who got away, or in the case of Jack and Rose, he's talking about Titanic, the one who's froze to death and sank into the North Atlantic, ever be the one? Could the person we once happened to have an amazing connection with actually be the right person for us for life? Question mark. If that actually were the case, MDMA would be the most valuable substance around because of the overwhelming feeling of love it can produce for a few short hours. But that's an experience and not a relationship, which is by definition ongoing. You don't find the person for a relationship worth having in a brief connection that produces a burst of peak sensation and then disappears. It would be absurd to wake up the next day and tell your friends that MDMA buddy is your destiny. I don't even know what MDMA is. But too often, that's a love story we want to tell. All this begs the question, where do we look for someone who really is worth our time and emotional energy? So he goes on to talk about that, right, in this book. And he goes on to talk about, about rethinking your story. Matthew says, he talks about his other book called Get the Guy. In that book, I talk about some practical ways one could drop the handkerchief today. I wasn't wrong about the power in that gesture. So many women have told me they're now married as a result of putting this advice to use to meet someone they might never have otherwise met. But I made one big miscalculation. I underestimated people's ability to make poor choices in their love lives, even when they had an abundance of choice. So I had an abundance of choices in the sense I had lots of guys in my inbox, but obviously not a huge amount of choice from what I thought was a good guy, because I thought the guy was a good guy. Without fixing these. Oh, right. So he talks about instinct. So let's dive into that a bit. So when the guy she initially wanted to pick up the handkerchief turned out to be a genuine asshole, why did she still give him so much attention? Why not just take it back and drop it in front of someone else? Women were spending months or years with the wrong guy, even when they had plenty of other choices. The handkerchief hadn't solved it. It almost didn't seem to matter who was doing the choosing. Something in the wiring was leading to bad choices. Many people overvalue the wrong qualities in the one person and undervalue the right qualities in someone else. Without fixing these instincts, people will keep defaulting to the kind of decisions that bring them pain and misery. So Matthew carries on talking and says, the days of me getting excited about someone who's not excited about me are over. I can't find the energy to get excited about someone who doesn't want me. If someone doesn't want me, it kills it for me because I know this person will make me so unhappy. So yeah, they did make me really unhappy in the end because they didn't want me in the end, which is horrible, but it's the truth. And in Matthew talks about the different levels of different levels of love, basically. Well, number 1 is admiration, number 2 is mutual attraction, number 3 is commitment, and 4 is compatibility. In the end, I definitely wasn't compatible with the guy. He had completely different morals to me, so. And it's interesting, Matthew says about right, he talks about relationship and said what it needs to realize its potential is 2 builders, 2 people who both say, yes, let's build a beautiful castle of our own here. Too often I find a woman still admiring the plot of land long after the other person has disappeared into the bush. Every now and again he may come back and breathe life into the fantasy, but he's never really setting down stakes, and he certainly isn't building. Ask yourself, do I have a builder, or is it just a connection? Connections don't build castles, builders do. So that's really interesting. He's saying it's not just about connection, it's about if someone wants to build life with you, which I thought he did because that's the way he was talking in the beginning. So if someone you had mutual attraction with disappears or moves on, or if you're the one moving on, don't grieve too much. The right person is someone who says yes. It will never be someone who says no. No matter how much potential you give them credit for, if they don't say yes, then by definition, they have lost any value once attributed to them, and they cease to be an option in our love life. You know? So, if they're just not choosing to be with you, so how important to your love life can they possibly be if they're not choosing to be with you? He makes a good point. So, yeah. And he says that, relationships aren't sustained on connection alone. The true test is how naturally compatible your beliefs and behaviors are, and how competently you're able to negotiate with each other when differences arise. One of the simpler questions to ask at this stage is, are they good at handling me? Isn't that one of the most romantic things anyone can do? We spend so much dating time trying to decide who's right and who's wrong for us, and there's certainly a level of wrong that's just a non-starter. But in a relationship, we are all going to be right and wrong a lot. What's great at managing our inevitable freakouts. Oh, it says who's great at managing our inevitable freakouts. Sorry, I've got a cyst on my eyes, makes it a bit harder to read. And whose inevitable freakouts are we great at managing? Does the person you're with enjoy the process? Are they patient or amused, helping you manage something that they have a completely different view of? I felt he was like that beginning, but definitely not the end. Can you turn around and do the same? Can even your differences be a source of pleasure? And on the days that they're not, will you still be spooning at the end of the day? Compatibility has nothing to do with agreeing on everything. It has a lot to do with enjoying the drama and dynamics of the day-to-day decisions you make together. Only through this fourth and final level of importance, compatibility, does a love story get to become a life story. I think that's really, really important. I think it's also important that it says, in our excitement over a person we've only just been on one or two dates with, we get ahead of ourselves. We give into our romantic instincts and rocket into a realm of fantasy romance. Well, as a hyper romantic asexual, I probably do get a bit ahead of myself. I did get overexcited about the person because I thought they were a nice person. I trusted them. But then it says here, how could something so right vanish even faster than it appeared? So this book dives into a lot of the issues that I've been going through. But it's really interesting because there's a number of reasons Matthew lists as to why someone pulls away. And it says people tend to pull away when they sense they become too important too quickly. No one wants to become someone else's top priority before they've earned it. Like, some people would just say, like, if you're in a relationship, that person should automatically make you a top priority anyway, because from the fact they've chosen to be in a relationship with you. You know what I mean? Whether it's like a month they've chosen to be in a relationship, or 6 months they've chosen to be in a relationship with you. Do you know what I mean? The whole point of being in a relationship is you're meant to make that person a priority in your life, as far as I'm concerned. But anyway, imagine going to a job interview. This is very interesting. And being told, how would you like to be the CEO starting tomorrow? That may have happened at some company somewhere once or twice. But usually, if you're getting the top job, and what is dating if not a search for a suitable candidate for a top job, you'd expect to come back for multiple interviews. On this score, dating really is like a business. The top spot can't really be given away, it can only be earned. So when things do start moving so quickly, it's natural for someone to think, why me? How do I get so valuable when they don't know me and I haven't really done all that much? Is there something wrong with them? Do they not have options? It's a deadly combination in a new romance. This is a double whammy that makes your value plummet as your intensity goes up. When this happens, no one should be surprised if the person who seemed so perfect just a few days ago starts vanishing from your DMs. We have to be incredibly aware of the instinct to transfer the importance we feel for the person we are looking to fill to a new person who only might fill it. But it's very interesting because I have actually been for interviews for management jobs and I've just got the job. I haven't gone around questioning the employer like, oh, so why did you choose me for the job? Like, why did you choose me and no one else for the job? Why did you give me the job so quickly? Like, like what's wrong with you? You know what I mean? I haven't gone down that. I just believe that I'm confident in myself, that I'm the right person showing up at the right time, and that I'm meant to get the job and get it. Do you know what I mean? Which is confidence. So I feel a little bit different on this. I feel that you can walk into a manager's job and get it. Like, obviously, it's not the same as a CEO, but a manager's job is still held in high regard. When I was interviewing for positions, I did used to interview a few people, but even someone who looks good on paper after an interview can still be crap. Even if someone who looks good on paper and you've interviewed can still turn out to be the wrong person. Do you know what I mean? Even if you do interview them more than once, or two people interview the same person, they can lie and still. I've had it happen. You know what I mean? So if I get into a relationship with someone, I don't question why. I mean, I might ask them like as a one question, like, why do you think I'm suitable for you for a relationship? But other than that, I don't go around questioning my value, going, oh, why should I, why are you picking me? I don't go around. So it's weird. It's not the way I think. I never think when it says no one wants to be someone else's top priority before they've earned it. I think that if you actually ask someone to be in a relationship with you, you have earned it. You know what I mean? Because why else would they bother asking you? It's weird, and I don't think that matters where it's 6 months down the line or a year down the line. If they've asked you to be their partner, life partner, then they should be respecting you and making you a priority because they've committed to that. You know what I mean? So I don't know. It just seems weird to me. I get what Matthew's saying, but I don't totally agree in the sense that I have got a job that was a well-paid manager's job, and they took me on there and then. I haven't actually thought, oh well, why are they doing that, and questioned myself, because to me that's not being confident. To me it's like, you know what I mean, it's like if I want something I just get it. You know what I mean? That's how I've been. Obviously I've got to try and change my mindset on that, but you know what I mean. Like, it says, how would you like to be our new CEO starting tomorrow? That may have happened in some company somewhere, but I got to be a manager and just like, had an interview and then got the job, like the next week I started, whatever. So I quickly got a job. I didn't go around going blah, 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 because I think I am the best person for the job. So then I don't go around questioning. So if someone's chosen to be in a relationship with me, I don't then go around questioning, oh, like, why did they choose, in the sense that, oh, like, I do ask them one question why they chose me, like I said, but I don't go around questioning my own value. I think my mind works backwards to this. I see that if I've got into a relationship, if someone's asked me to be in a relationship, they should automatically make me a priority in their lives because they've asked me to be in a relationship with them, rather than just casual dating or just seeing how things go. I think that automatically is one of the things you should be doing in a relationship. Do you know what I mean? Oh, hello, Ria. Nice to see you. So I understand what Matthew's saying here, but for me, it doesn't actually work totally like that, because, like, you know what I mean? I don't, like, if someone chooses to be in a relationship with me, I don't go around then questioning loads about why they've done that, because that to me would just mean I'm not confident in myself. But when it says, what is dating if not a search for a valuable, suitable candidate, on the score, he's trying to say that it's like a business, like a relationship's like a business. This is Matthew Hussey's book, by the way, Dating Relationship Coach. So when things do start moving too quickly, it's natural for someone to think, why me? How did I get so valuable when they don't know me? And I haven't really done all that much. I don't personally think that way. So why would I believe that someone I'm in a relationship with thinks that way about me and devalues me in that way when I don't devalue them in that way? Because a relationship is two-way. So if Matthew's saying, which he is saying, people tend to pull away when they sense they become too important too quickly. No one wants to be someone else's top priority before they've earned it. I don't necessarily agree with that. So glad I managed to pop in while still streaming. Oh yeah, it's nice to see you. Lots of love. So yeah, I don't totally agree with that, because I don't think that way. I don't go around thinking, oh, a guy's in a relationship with me, but I have to like, like I have to like not be a priority straight away. I believe if a guy's asked me to be in a relationship with him, no matter how long he's known me, then he should be making me a priority in his life just for the fact I'm in a relationship. And that's how you kind of have to have a relationship to be good. You have to spend quality time with that person. You have to make them a priority. They don't have to be the priority for over everything, but they should be a priority, because otherwise, why did you even ask them to get into a relationship with you? What's the point? You may as well just being casual dating and stuff like that. So I don't. This is Matthew Hussey's Love Life book. It's just come out, and I told you I'm reading it because I'm trying to improve myself and my life and to understand dating relationships, and so that I don't go through a painful breakup again. So I'm willing to learn from this guy. It's just that I don't personally think like that, right? So it's very interesting. We feel a new relationship slipping away and we decide to fight for it. Suddenly this romance is important enough to mobilize all our resources to keep it. But why? This pieball instinct may be useful when we've messed up at work and have to show our boss we're willing to do whatever it takes, no matter what, to correct it. But it's not likely to help in early dating for many reasons. First, it's illogical, based on a false notion that something increases in value when you think there might be less of it. But is a potential connection really such a scarce commodity, as if they were the romantic equivalent of a nationwide search for a suitable liver transplant? Second, it's a sign of impatience. If we want results and we want them now, we'll place a greater value on something just because it's here in front of us. This is what happens at closing time at bars all over the world, and results are generally not as persuasive in the light of day. But it's weird because Matthew's like kind of saying, on the one hand, that like if you are in a business, then you need to like vet people. But he's also saying, because he's saying a relationship is like a business, it's like business, that if you get into before you get into a relationship, you should vet someone before placing a high value on them and making them priority in your life. But it's also saying that in a business sense, you would fight for you would fight to keep your job, but you shouldn't do that in a relationship. So on the one hand, he's saying that it's like a business is, love and relationships are like a business. On the other hand, he's saying they're not. So it's really weird. Third and most troubling are the self-esteem issues that contribute to overvaluing this person we barely know and undervaluing our own self. Where did we get the idea that somebody who's pulling away and growing uncertain about us is just what we need, when exactly the opposite is true? This lukewarm reaction on their part is all the proof you need that they're not the right one for you. So, yeah, this is really interesting, and I think that is true. If we find ourselves drawn to someone who's pulling away, we have to suspect ourselves. What is it that's so great about this person anyway? They're hot, tall, self-assured, charismatic, charming. None of those are the traits that make a great partner. I think this is so important. Matthew's book, Love Life. You should get a copy. It's really good. I haven't finished reading it yet. I'm partway through. I had a terrific talk recently with Dr. Ramani. I don't know if you've seen Dr. Ramani, who specializes in helping people recover from relationships with narcissists. She's really good. And she warned that vague responses like that, there's just something about them, sets off alarm bells and are likely indication of a trauma bond. You're attracted to them because they have something you can't name and will only discover when it's too late. But the feelings in you they are able to generate are what compels you to keep trying. So if that's your first instinct to keep trying because of some mysterious quality or feeling, it's good to keep in mind the easily recognizable qualities that do make a good partner. I think this is really interesting because this is what you're meant to be looking for, not the other stuff, not someone who's charismatic or whatever they are. So this is what makes a good partner. They're kind and compassionate. They show up for you consistently and reliably, which is what he didn't want to do with me in the end. They communicate well, which is not what he did in the end because he shut down. I would say he portrayed himself at the beginning as kind and compassionate, and he did show up for me. But I mean, he was late even in the beginning of a relationship one time. They communicate well. They're honest and trustworthy, which he wasn't. He thinks it's fine to lie. They make a great teammate, which clearly he didn't in the end because he shut down. They care about your day and the challenges you face, and they want to support you as you face them. Not in the end, no. And if these sound like qualities that make you head for the hills, you're not looking for a relationship. So I want someone like that. I want someone these good qualities. Unfortunately, he didn't have those in the end. So yeah, so I think it's really good that if we are looking for dating and relationship, that we look for these good qualities rather than the charming qualities. If you have those teammate traits, if you're the one who's trustworthy, kind, committed, communicative, consistent, generous, then you've got the rare stuff that's worth fighting for. It's also the rare stuff you should protect. So I am that person. I am very kind, because I did ask him once, like, why towards the end of the relationship, like, why are you with me? And he did say, because of your kind and, like, why do you love me? I said to him. He said, oh, because of your kind and caring nature and the fact you love me. But the fact that I love him is like, okay, yeah, what about me? But yeah, so he said that I was kind and caring, even though he's not good for me in the end. But yeah, so, and if someone doesn't recognize those qualities, so the ones I just said about you being trustworthy, kind, committed, communicative, consistent, generous, which I was generous with my time a lot. And if someone doesn't recognize those qualities in you, they'll never value what's valuable in you. You should keep them at arm's length until they do. In the meantime, they're definitely not a person worth fighting for. This is really good. You will meet people who are wonderful to hang out with, but do they have what it takes to build an amazing relationship? This is from Matthew Hussey's Love Life book. If they're already pulling away after a few dates, probably not. One of the greatest things you can find in a partner is a sense of certainty about you. Yes, this is so important. There are definitely times you should be willing to fight for someone in the right circumstances. So it talks about Romeo and Juliet. Despite the war between their families, had a relationship they both wanted. They weren't fighting uncertainty. They were fighting outside circumstances and setting aside for a moment the fact that they were both children who never even reached the point of a real relationship. Their feelings for each other were definitely not lukewarm. Romeo wasn't saying, should I be worried that I climbed to her balcony and found her writing saucy letters to Paris? Never mind, I'll still fight for Juliet and our love. Ask yourself if you're playing Romeo and Juliet with someone and the big obstacle is their uncertainty. Because if that's the script, why take the part? The only person worth having in our love story is the one who values what we have to give. Part 2 of that rule is that they won't value what we have to give if we don't put a high price on it ourselves. If they get the idea that we'll fight for them even when they're pulling away, first they're going to think we're way too intense. Then they're going to wonder what this one-sided intensity says about us, our confidence in ourselves, and who we are. Our reaction to their pulling away should be to let them know that this indifference, this sudden change of heart, has consequences. Sure, we were trying. They got a taste of what we're capable of, but the moment they started projecting their ambivalence, they become less worthy of the effort we can lavish on someone we have feelings for. They took themselves out of the running for all those wonderful things, and they need to know it. You can still be kind, but let them see that your intensity is like a solar flare. It can quickly stop as it starts. Tell them, yes, I'm attracted to you. We have fun. You make me laugh. And sure, you can be exciting, but none of that is more important than what's right for me. So this is very interesting, isn't it? You know, but I just like, if I get into a relationship with someone, then I automatically think they're a valuable person, because if I chose to be with that person in the first place, if I value myself, then I value my choices, and I value the person who's a result of those choices. So I think the difference between what Matthew's saying we should be thinking and what I do think is I'm the opposite. when I think. I'm thinking backwards. Like, I'm thinking, if I choose to be with someone or they choose to be with me, then I'm a valuable person. So they've chosen a valuable person to be with. I've chosen someone back. I value my opinion, I value my choices. Therefore, if I choose to be with someone, I automatically think they're valuable because I've chosen that person. They've chosen me. So because I believe I'm valuable, I only believe I'll make valuable choices, which clearly hasn't been ended up being the case. So I think my mind works backwards to this, if you understand what I mean. So because I value myself, for me, it's not a question of their value. Usually it's like, if I question their value, I kind of feel like I'm questioning myself. But if I don't question their value, if I just feel like that, because I thought he was a good, but of course, if he was displaying bad characteristics from the beginning, then that would have been hard. Well, I guess he was displaying some stuff that wasn't so good in the beginning, but I probably ignored it, to be honest, or red flags, or brushed over it, or didn't pay it enough attention. But from the point of view of value, because I value my own opinion and value my own choices, and my choices are valuable to me, if I've made the choice to be in a relationship with that person, to me that makes them valuable because I value my choices and decisions, and I wouldn't usually choose someone who wasn't valuable to me in some way, if you get my meaning, which is completely opposite to what he's saying here. He's saying that you shouldn't place any value on someone when you don't know them that well, but you can take years to know someone. You never really truly know someone, probably for about 3 years or something. And people are in a relationship, so you should still make them a priority, in my opinion, and still hold them valuable for the time you're with them. Otherwise, why bother? I don't know. It's weird, but obviously, clearly, I'm reading this book to change my brain and rewire it. And I guess I might have to still understand the way I am and the way I think versus what I apparently should be thinking. But I just find it very interesting that I place value on someone else because I've chosen to be with them. So for me, because I feel I'm a valuable person, I feel my decisions are valuable. Therefore, the result of my decisions to choose to be with someone makes that person automatically valuable. If you get my meaning. I don't know. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't know, you go to a shop and you select certain items that are valuable to you. They might be for different reasons, that you like the look of that thing aesthetically. It might be that the way the stones are arranged in a piece of jewelry is very valuable to you because you like that arrangement specifically. And then you choose to get those items from a shop, and they're valuable to you for sentimental reasons, aesthetic reasons, the display arrangement of reasons, and you've made that choice. So because you value yourself and think you're a valuable person, you take your things you bought seriously, and you feel they're valuable to you because you made that choice and decision. Do you see what I mean? So that's where my brain comes from when I make decisions about when I make the decision about the guy. It wasn't like I wasn't valuable myself. It was like I valued the qualities I initially saw in him, which was, I initially thought he was kind and respectful and empathetic and sensitive and caring, and thoughtful, considerate, kind, cared about my well-being and health, wanted the best for me. I saw all this stuff. So I trusted him. I probably trusted him far too soon, but because I'm so honest, I find it hard to believe that people are so dishonest. And so I took him on face value of what he was saying to me in in that way. And so that's not the person he turned out to be. But I am not the type of person that goes around thinking someone's less valuable and they have to prove their value to me. But obviously, clearly, I need to change my mind on that. Because to me, I don't think I'm better than anyone else. Even though I'm a YouTuber and I'm quite well known on this channel, and it's had 771,000 views or something now, so over 750,000 views. I'm this channel's amazing. I am quite well known in the asexual community now. I'm a best-selling author with this book, Asexual, Diary Confessions of a Hyper-Romantic Asexual, and also best-selling author of Asexual Perspectives book. Don't forget to grab them on Amazon. Because I am a best-selling author. I have got a lot going for me, but I don't go around thinking I'm better than the guy I've chosen to be with. I don't go around thinking, oh, I'm better than him or better than anyone. So when I get into a relationship with someone, I think we're on an equal playing field, and that we should both be making each other a priority in the other person's life. We should both be making each other feel loved, cherished, adored, and special as much as possible. We should both be putting the same amount of time, energy, and effort in. That person should be messaging me like, and like when they usually I prefer the guy to like do the message in the morning when they wake up and stuff like that. But like it should be like fairly equal amount of messaging, like in the morning, night, in the day, or whatever, and whenever you can. And you know what I mean? It's just like, I think you work together as a team, and I see that person as equal. I don't see them more valuable as me. I don't see them less valuable as me. So for me, I don't think I'm better than anyone else. Maybe that's my problem. Maybe I should be thinking, oh, I'm so precious and valuable. I'm more precious and valuable than the guys that I'm talking to. So therefore, it automatically means I'm higher up the arc, higher up, higher up than them. So therefore, they need to, I don't know, need to like try and like raise their bar to get up to my level or something. That seems to be like what it's saying in here. But because I don't think that way usually, I think I'm no better than anyone else. I'm no worse than anyone else. I'm no better than anyone else. You know what I mean? I mean, you could say that I'm better than some people, that I'm better than dishonest people if you want to, if you believe honesty is better than dishonesty, which I do. So in terms of like being better than someone, yes, I'm honest. Yes, I'm authentic. Yes, I'm being me. So you could say that I'm better in that way, right? Because I don't believe dishonesty is a good trait at all to have. But you know what I mean? I don't get into it. It's like I like younger guys, and I like a younger guy to be in a relationship with. But I don't think, oh, just because I'm the older one, that I'm much better than him or anything like that. Do you know what I mean? I don't go around, and I try not to treat the person anything else but an equal to me in that way. But actually, in the relationship that ended, it was like him treating me like I was 5 years old and didn't know stuff or something. It was really weird. In the end, So, anyway, we have to actively ensure we aren't enabling them by being. Oh, so they're talking about lies and avoidance now, and they're saying, excuse me, that if you've got an avoidant, you should actively ensure that you're not enabling them by being an avoider yourself. So, but if you want to make sure you're not enabling an avoider, you have to ask scary questions. The questions themselves may not be inherently scary. It's the consequences of finally knowing that the truth that make us hesitant to put them into words. So basically, yeah, we have to ask scary questions. The questions themselves may not be inherently scary. It's the consequences of finally knowing the truth that make us hesitant to put them into words. I did ask him questions, but he shut down some of the time in the end, so that wasn't good. But you lose nothing by communicating. The right relationship, listen to this, is one where things get better when you communicate. If your relationship gets worse whenever one of you speaks the truth, you're in the wrong relationship. Yes. In the end, that person shut down. So, anyway. What more can I say? But I'm reading Love Life. I think it's that's my little bookmark. I'm reading Love Life, and I think it's stuff I can learn from. It's just that I don't think the same way as that. Like I know I see loads of videos on YouTube where they're like the guys like the dating coaches like saying if you're a woman, you need to make sure that you're not giving away your value to a guy. You're being high value, which means you don't chase a guy, and if they put away, you just like let them go and all this lot, right? But that's easier said than done. And not only that, is I don't really place I think of people as equals, you know what I mean? I don't think I'm better than them or they're better than me. I find it weird. You know what I mean? I'm like, why should I have to do things to even get them to see my value? If they don't see my value in the first place, what's the point? Do you know what I mean? Like, why do you have to do these things to get someone to see your value? I feel that they should automatically value you as a human being. I value people in general. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't think of them as a commodity easily disposable. I think of people as like, wow, these are people, these are human beings. They have feelings, they have emotions. They are a person on this planet. You know what I mean? I just feel like different. I feel like, some people shouldn't have to prove. I think people have to prove that they're trustworthy to a certain extent. They have to you don't have to just automatically trust someone. They have to prove they're trustworthy over time. But I think, like, I don't know, because I feel I'm very honest, trustworthy, kind, caring, loving, and I'm very open about that with people. Then I just like think, why play? I see it as playing games in a way. Like, why do I have to prove my value and worth to someone? Like, you know what I mean? In that way, like, if they've chosen to be in a relationship with you, they should know that they've got in a relationship, but they still have to maintain and sustain that relationship and keep it. If not, then of course the person's not going to stay around. They're going to leave. Because if they're not feeling good in the relationship and, they're feeling bad all the time, it's not sustainable. So, you know what I mean? My brain obviously thinks very differently to what's written in that book, but I'm willing to change my mind, or at least know that I should be changing my mind and try new things. But at the moment, I just don't want a relationship again. I don't want to be doing dating again. I don't, right now, I just don't want to get into that. I see Indian guys. I mean, one of the good things about going to London is I did see really good, beautiful looking Indian guys again, some of whom were clean shaven, which is great, because obviously when I was in a relationship, I was just focusing on the guy I was with. And when I said he's the most gorgeous looking guy in the world, he went right to his head, which it shouldn't do if he's a good guy. Do you know what I mean? Like, for me, I said, but I'm obviously there are other Indian guys, but when I'm in a relationship with someone, for me, that person is usually my main focus and who I feel like is the best looking to me, because I'm not focusing on other guys. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's the way I am. If I'm in a relationship, I'm committed to mostly spending my time and focusing on them, not other guys. So of course, when I was in a relationship with that guy, then he was the best looking guy in the world to me because I loved him. And to me, that's a good thing. I know that in Matthew's book, even it says that, like, oh, the one that you end up in a relationship with usually is not the best looking person in the world. But and most people are like, oh, you can admit in a relationship that the person you're with is not the best looking person in the world. But to me, when I'm in a relationship, usually that person is the best looking person in the world to me, because I'm in a relationship with them and it kind of enhances all their features. Do you know what I mean? Even though they're not going to be the best looking guy in the world to everyone. And the guys I go for anyway, predominantly short, dark hair, clean shaven, and boy next door types. They're not the types that loads of women go after anyway. Loads of women like really big butch guys who are hairy and look really masculine. I'm not interested in that. Some of the guys that I'm interested in, they're like, they don't get many girls after them. So I guess when I pay them attention, it's like a novelty for them. And the reason for this is because they don't look like the stereotypical type of guy that loads of women would go for. But that doesn't mean to say there isn't anyone for them. But you know what I mean? But I just am attracted to different types of guys than the majority of women are. And I don't go around thinking when I'm in a relationship, I can see that other guys are attractive, and I can still find some other guys attractive, but I don't particularly even like that, doing that. But you know what I mean? But it's not the same as the person I'm with. If I'm in a relationship, so a committed, loving relationship with a person, because I love them and because I'm spending most time with them and because I have exciting feelings over them, to me, that makes them like the most attractive person in the world to me, usually. I don't really know how people can be in relationships and not think their person is the most attractive person in the world to them. But I obviously I'm completely different to most of the entire world population on that, because like it doesn't matter what model comes around or what actor or actress or anything like that. Yes, I can still see guys good looking. I like Farron, for example. He's from Street Dancer 3D, Indian guy. He's very good looking, but I don't go around thinking when I'm in a relationship with someone he's better looking than the guy I'm with, because I just think that's disrespectful. And I don't actually think it's true. I think that when I'm in a relationship, I love that guy and he is the best looking guy in the world to me when I'm with him. Obviously, when I'm not in a relationship with him, I will then think probably that if I get into a relationship ever again, that the next guy is the best looking guy in the world for me, because I'm in a relationship with another guy. Do you know what I mean? So for me personally, you know what I mean, that's the way I think and feel. I feel like people are equal, and I don't devalue someone just because they're like into me. Like, I know a lot of people don't like someone who's into them so much. I like a guy who's into me a lot. I like a guy who's really communicative, who's messaging me a lot, I need that in a relationship. If a guy's not doing that, I don't feel secure. I just feel like, what the hell is going on? I may as well just stay single. And I did even say to him in the end, I am happier being single because I am, you know. So for me, my brain doesn't really work. It doesn't work like, oh, I just got into a relationship with this person, but I don't value them much because I don't really know them, because you don't really know a person for like a year or 2 or 3. There's always things you'll find out about the person. It doesn't mean to say they're any less valuable to you if you love them. I don't know. My brain just works very differently. So I think it's very interesting. I am going to keep going through this love life book. Also, there comes a heartbreak after happiness after heartbreak series with the book as a bonus. So I'm going to be going through that. I think it's good that I know these things, but I just find it so weird. You know, it's like if I've chosen to be with someone, that automatically makes them valuable because it's my decision and choice, and I value my decision and choices. That's how my brain works. It'd be really interesting if I could talk to Matthew about this stuff, but I don't think there's any way of talking to him about it, because it's like, you know, that's how my brain works. If I've chosen to be with someone, it automatically makes them valuable because I value my choices and decisions and think that I'm making a good one for me, even if I'm not, I guess. So yeah, it's very interesting, isn't it? So I think it's good, like when you're going through a breakup, to actually analyze yourself, analyze what you should maybe have done instead, analyze what you did do, but also like realize that if that person didn't choose you in the end, if they didn't display good characteristics in the end, then they're not the right person, a good person for you anyway. Like, I don't ever, like I said earlier in this video, ever want to be in a relationship ever again where the guy makes me feel like I'm an irritant and a burden, not wanted. You know what I mean? It's horrible. Really, really, it's horrible. That was a very, very, very end, you know? He had very contradictory behavior. Like, one minute he'd be super into me, the next minute, like, be disinterested. Very, very weird behavior. Very, very strange behavior. One minute, like, laughing and smiling with me, getting on really well. The next minute, like, looking around, like, disinterested. It's like very odd behavior, but you know what I mean? So that's the problem. If you're in a relationship with someone who's inconsistent, incongruent, contradictory, it's kind of like you don't really know where you stand with the person, and you end up being in a perpetual state of anxiety and stress, which isn't good for you. So it is good that we're not together in a relationship anymore. I still like find it hard to separate my emotions from the reality of the situation, which is the reality is it's a good job he left your life because he was doing you no good whatsoever. Um, but the romance and emotional side still has feelings for him. And one of the other dating coaches I watched recently, it's like, you know, don't fight the feelings of that you have for this person, because if you do, they'll just get more intense. So I'm making sure that I don't really fight them, but I am very much realizing my worth and the fact that I shouldn't ever be with a guy who makes me feel less than I am, you know, because I deserve to have love and happiness, and a guy to treasure me always, you know, and a guy to mean what he says and says what he means and does what he says, and, you know, says things and does them, not just talk about them. So anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this live stream tonight. I hope you've enjoyed the journey I've taken you on tonight through my second week of breakup. I hope it's helped you somewhat. I hope hearing the extracts from Love Life. This is not my book. This is Matthew Hussey's book, who's a dating relationship coach. This is my book, Asexual Perspective. So make sure you grab a copy of that. And Diary Confessions of a Hyper Romantic Asexual. Make sure you get these on Amazon or from good bookshops. So yes. Anyway, Diary Confessions actually should be hopefully in bookstores, at least online, in the coming weeks. Probably not. It's just on Amazon, that one at the moment. This is like Barnes and Noble, Waterstones, Blackwell's. Yeah. Walmart. Did I say Walmart? Yeah. So you can get this from a lot of places. This one's just come out, so it's got to be processed through the title editor yet, which I've got to do. So for other bookstores. But yes, go and grab it. Bestseller. So yeah, I also wrote Fibromyalgia Self-Help Handbook, just in case you wanted to grab a copy of that as well. It's autobiographical, superhero style book. It's really cool. Anyway, I love you, leave you for now. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. Hit the bell icon so you never miss an episode. Thank you so much to all the people in chat tonight. It's Liam and Ria, and I can't see all your name, but it begins with MB, I think. So yeah. I've got a cyst on my eye, you might have noticed, which makes my eyes a bit distorted. So it's a little bit harder to read eyesight a little bit distorted, which makes it a bit harder to read. But I hope I got all the points across I needed to get from Matthew's book, and I appreciate you being here. Don't forget to stay strong. I'm sorry if someone broke your heart. I'm sorry if they caused you pain. I'm sorry on their behalf if they can't even be asked to contact you to apologize for their bad behavior and the way they treated you. I'm so sorry they did that to you. I feel it in my heart that it's so hard, and I really find it incredibly difficult personally to deal with the fact that I thought this person was this way and then they turn out to be this way. It is hard. It is a mind fuck, I tell you. But we have to remember to stay strong. We will get through this. This person will not drag us down forever in our life. This person is not worth it. And, we will get through these tough times together, because these tough times do make us stronger. And, there are people out there that are good people. I'm a good person. I'm really honest, kind, and caring. And I deserve the same in return, and so do you if you're that type of person as well. I'm sorry if someone did you wrong. And they're not even remorseful for it. That is just really sucks. So if you're going through that at the moment, I'm really sorry. And if you want more advice in this video, if you haven't seen it, do go back to the beginning of it. I am reading Matthew's book, Love Life, so excerpts from it. So go and enjoy that. And don't forget, like I said earlier, to fill your own cup up. Make sure you're doing things that make you feel excited, elated, happy. Bring joy into your life. Bring that spark and magic that make you feel truly alive and who you're born to be, and be yourself. Be around people who validate you, who make you feel good about your values, beliefs, morals, ethics, who make you feel like, that you are good being you, which you are. Your uniqueness is your beauty. And if someone else doesn't see that and they want just a normal, boring doormat of a person, let them get on with it. Anyway, that's not you. Take care. Lots of love. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon. Give this video a thumbs up if you like it. And I'll see you soon next video live stream. Lots of love. Bye.